Cuckoo, cuckoo, what it do? How's everybody doing? So I wanted to answer one of the most asked questions that I get, and it's whether or not I have a girlfriend, if I'm single, etc. And I'm very much single, but there's a backstory to that, and I think that is something that can help other people by me being willing to talk about it. For the past few years, I've been single, and for some time, I've also been practicing celibacy. Um, Simply because I realized my idea of intimacy and physical intimacy specifically was skewed at a very young age, as well as my idea of what a relationship should look like and what is love and how love should be perceived, received, and things like that. One of the reasons being my mom did what she had to do. And if you get what I'm saying, you get what I'm saying. She did what she needed to do. She wasn't always present. I grew up in an elder system. But when she was around, she had relationships that were transactional. So I was exposed to physical intimacy in my face at a very young age. I was exposed to men in and out of the home in order to provide us with a sense of stability, whether it was a social worker that she was sleeping with in order to guarantee that, we got to stay in the house, or somebody that she was dealing with because they was, supplying a bankroll for wherever we were staying. So very young, I saw love and physical intimacy as conditional and contractual, transactional. So as I got older, when I started engaging in relationships subconsciously, that what it was for me. I never really allowed myself to truly get to know the roots of the beautiful flowers that I had the pleasure of being in a relationship with or exchanging physical intimacy with, because I had never known a love that was deep. I never knew a love that was more than surface level. So the relationships that I engaged with were simple. They were at the surface. And the moment somebody showed me a different version of themselves than I was familiar with, I engaged in fight or flight mode, and it either caused conflict in the relationship or I left, because to me, you're not who you showed me you were. You were this and now you're that. I'm not feeling safe anymore. I have to run. And it had everything to do with me, nothing to do with the person. I've dealt with some beautiful women who had amazing hearts, and I apologize if you dated me in those seasons of my life, because subconsciously I wasn't a good person to be in a relationship with, just because I didn't know better. And it's not an excuse, but I think it's important that we learn from our mistakes. I don't carry shame of who I was in the past, because I've grown and I learned from it. I think shame should only be attached to past behavior if you haven't grown, if you haven't learned, if you haven't been willing to make amends, if you haven't forgiven yourself, then you feel that shame. But I've made every day of my life better because I've grown, I've healed, I've fostered those wounds in a way that I've faced them. I've healed my mother wound. I've healed my father wound. I've done everything in my power to be a better person. And that started with me not being in a relationship for a long time. It's been a couple of years, as well as sustaining from physical intimacy. I've been celibate for quite some time because I wanted to rewire and reprogram my idea of what love should look like and put value back on my body. There's so many circumstances, and I used to be ashamed to say that, like, I either stayed with somebody longer than I needed to because they were providing me with some sense of security, whether it been we lived together and I didn't know what I would do financially if we didn't, whether it was needing to feel loved, needing to feel worthy. For me, for a long time, I was a serial monogamist. I bounced from relationship to relationship to relationship, because in those relationships, it gave me validation. It made me feel loved. It meant I was worthy. It meant that I was easy to love and that I was deserving and I was somebody. Growing up the way that I did, my parents were the first example that love is conditional. I don't want to get too much into the details about my past, but I grew up in foster care. Like I said, my mother did what she had to do. My father wasn't really present after a certain age. And at a real young age, I knew love was dependent on what I could do for somebody. So that's how I entered into relationships. What can you do for me? What can I do for you? It wasn't ever a partnership, and these are behaviors that I developed at a very young age. So as I got older, it was only natural that I carried them into my adult relationships with the females that I dated. And now I know that that's not what love is. That's not what a relationship is. And I am worthy, and I am valid, and I'm deserving, and I'm easy to love, and I don't need a partner or a person to prove that to me. And it's taken some time. It's taken me spending time alone, me learning to forgive my mom, learning to forgive my father, learning to say that they were just doing the best they could with what they had, learning to understand that not all love has to come with conditions, but I'm not nobody's property and nobody belongs to me. Understanding that if I do madly fall in love with somebody and she decides 6 months, 1 year, 10 years down the line, that this is no longer the relationship that is nourishing her needs, and she needs to step out so she can become the beautiful flower that she is, or to grow in some sort of capacity that she can't take me with her for, I can now learn to just be grateful for the opportunity to get to know her and to be in her space and to engage in her life for the time that the universe placed her there. I think a lot of times in relationships, I held on to people so tightly because, like I said, they were my validation. They were my reason to believe that I was worthy of love because I didn't truly love myself. And in that, I put all my happiness and joy in one pot. So when I lost these people, I lost myself. So I had to hop on to the next female in order to feel like I was worthy again. And I just, once I started diving deep in my healing and I got sober, I didn't want to be that no more. I didn't want to just sleep with people to sleep with people. I didn't want to just be with people to be with people. I wanted to love myself in a capacity that someone is an ad, that nobody is ever going to be my everything. You could mean everything to me, but you will never be my everything, because everything I need, I now give to myself, and you're just a plus, you know? I want a partner. And I want someone who doesn't allow me to become the Kalia that I do, who becomes completely consumed in my partner, that I put the things that are important to me on my back burner, my friends, my passions, my poetry, my work. I'm the type of person when I love hard, and I love fully. There's no 1 foot in, 1 foot out. If I love you, I'm all in. I'll put everything else on the back so I can prove to you, so I can show up to you, for you, so I can be everything you need me to be. But I learned that that's not how you love. I have to love myself enough to continue to put me first. I have to pour into my passions, and the right partner is going to be like, babe, hey, I love spending time with you, but you ain't hung out with your friends in a couple weeks. Why don't you call Bob the Builder and see what's up if they want to chill? Or, hey, listen, you ain't made time for your creativity in a couple weeks. I'm going to go hang out with my girls. Why don't you pour into your poetry? A true partnership is somebody who sees you and understands when you're not in alignment. They don't need you to be all about them, and that's what I desire going forward. I want a partner who has her own thing going on, and I can have my own thing going on. That we add to each other's lives, but we're not each other's whole life. And I think that was what I was missing. I had this understanding that if I couldn't be her everything, then I was nothing. And if she wasn't my everything, then she could be nothing. But it's about balance. I was threatened by my ex-girlfriend's friendships. I was threatened by my ex's relationships with their family. I was threatened by my ex's works. Like, I wanted people to be all about me because I never had that in any capacity. My parents weren't even all about me, and I thought that if you wanted me, then I'm all that you need. But that's not what a relationship is. So I had to heal those wounds within me that needed to be coddled, almost needed to be in a relationship with someone who I was looking to be my mother opposed to being my partner, or looking for someone to fill the role of protection of my father and be my partner. So for me, in this season of my life, I just want to be sure. I want to know that I'm able to stand on my own too, that somebody walking out of my life, I can still appreciate who they were for me and not feel like I lost something, or feel like I did something, or feel like I'm less worthy, or feel like I don't have value because they can't see me in the light that I need them to anymore. It's been a long journey and it's been a long road, but I'm grateful for it. And I'm going to continue to stay single, and I'm going to continue to stay celibate until the universe knocks me off my socks and I meet this woman in a way that I know it's her, but I'm not pressed or forcing it or um, seeking it, going out looking for it, because I'm in a season of attraction. I don't chase, I attract. I attract my abundance, I attract my love, I attract my opportunities effortlessly and easily because I'm deserving, because I'm worthy, because I'm easy to love. So when it's time, it will happen. But for now, I'm going to continue to do the work, continue to make sure I know that there's different forms of communication, there's different forms of attachment styles, there's different form of loving somebody, how I need to be loved. My partner might need to be loved differently. My love language isn't going to align with her love language. It might, but in the case that it doesn't, I need to know that I'm capable of pouring into somebody the same way I expect them to pour into me, and also be willing to carry their 20% when that's all they got and love them just the same, because no relationship is 50-50. On some days you can give your all, on some days you only can give half, on some days you can give 5%. And it's choosing to continue to support that person, love them, see them, validate them in all those seasons. And I'm just bettering myself and continuing to grow. So when she does come, I'm somebody who can be an addition, to add to everything that she is, to pour into her, to support her, to love her, to see her, to water her, to hear her, to communicate effectively with her, to hold her accountable in the same way I'm going to need her to hold me accountable, and just, like I said, be a partner. So I hope that answers y'all question. Kind of a long answer, but I think that it's important that we grow, right? We don't carry shame. Like, release the shame of what you did when you were in survival mode. I know that I hurt a lot of people unintentionally, and for a long time I would cry about it. When I first started my healing journey, it would bring me to tears to think about the woman that I hurt in those phases of my life where I was still a hurt little girl trying to fill a void. But I've done the work, and I know that people in my life can see it. And if they can't forgive me, they will in their own time. And I have to accept that as well. So keep doing the work, keep loving yourself, keep waiting. Just trust that if someone's not making you feel seen, heard, valued, then they're not the person for you. But also release the expectations of who you expect people to be in your life. That's where we start getting disappointed. When we expect somebody to be our all or to show up for us the way that we would show up for them, that's when we start seeing people in a negative light. They're not you, right? So you can't expect people to be what you want them to be. Believe them when they show you who they are. I love y'all. Peace.